Yeah, Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Ohara Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles in Israel who will and teach well, to the Akim, the highways and byways, and those pushing videos in truth and sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. Now, this lesson here, it's based on a lesson that I did before. This is the lesson. You can find it on the channel. It says, does the Bible teach Enoch never died? So there's a video I've done already answering that question. So certain things in this lesson I'm not going to actually go over. You can actually watch this video and get the understanding from it. But the reason why I'm revisiting this is because of this video here. Now, these brothers are very good brothers, bring out some good edification. And the lesson the brother did is called, Who is Enoch? What can we learn from him? So the points I'm bringing out has nothing to do with his lesson as such. It's just a point that the brother made in his lesson, which I want to clarify. And really, this is just for edification purposes. Knowing this or not knowing this is not going to really get you into the kingdom. But like I said, it's just for edification purposes. So I'm going to play a bit of this video. You can hear what the brother says, and then I will clarify it with the scriptures. Okay.
We'll keep bringing that out. All right, Genesis 5:24. And Enoch walked with God and he was not, for God took him. So again, Enoch walked with God and he was not, for God took him. Now, when you read this whole chapter, it says everybody they died. But here it's saying Enoch was not. Now, was not, when that's being said, it's basically an old way of saying he did not die.
And that is incorrect. When the scripture says he was not, or was not, or is not, it's actually referring to the opposite of what the brother said. It's actually referring to someone that had died. And, it even goes back to what the brother just said. When you read that chapter in Genesis chapter 4, everyone died. And then we come to Enoch and he didn't die. No, the scripture is telling you that he did die. He was not. And that is an old way of saying he had died. Now, what the brother's going to do is going to bring a precept, which is actually going to show you that is not, was not, those kind of terminology is actually speaking about someone that actually died. But I think when the brother brought that precept out, he sort of realized that it goes against what he says and then explains it away. So let's continue.
Right, and I got a quick precept on that.
And this is a good precept.
Used again. Right, this book of Lamentations. Right, verse chapter 5 and verse 7. It says,
so like I said, the brother pulls a good precept, but he's using the precept wrong, because he's using it to explain that Enoch never died, but the precept is actually speaking about someone that has died and using the similar terminology of is not, or was not, or are not.
Our fathers have sinned and are not.
Meaning they have died.
They have borne their iniquity. So saying our fathers sinned.
You see?
They're dead now.
You see, the brother said it. Our fathers sin. They're dead now. How did it refer to them being dead? Our fathers have sinned and are not. So I think the brother sort of realized that the precept he pulled and the way he explained are not in, or is not in Genesis with Enoch is sort of contradicting what he's saying.
And we're carrying their sins. Right, they're not even here.
Let me just drop that back again so you can get full.
Right, verse chapter 5 and verse 7. It says, our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquity. So saying our fathers sinned, they're dead now, and we're carrying their sins. Right, they're not even here. But Enoch, he actually did not die. Right, Enoch actually did not die because he got taken by the Lord.
And that's really an incorrect breakdown that many do of Genesis chapter 4:25 and Hebrews 4:11. I mean, Salaka 11 and 5. And I think the main precept that really clarifies it for people that Enoch didn't die is the Hebrews 11 and 5. But that is actually, the way it's broken down is a mistranslation based upon how it reads.
Right. Here's what I want to bring out first. Get this, just to prove that in the book of Hebrews. Right, this is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 5. And what does it mean by God took him? Right, it means he got so-called abducted.
And that's incorrect also.
Right, the Most High took him up, man. Right? Like took him into a chariot. That's what it means by took him. Right? He got so-called abducted. Right? It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and 5. It says, by faith, right? Check that out. All right, it's a beautiful precept.
And just to clarify, when you read Hebrews 11 and 5, it's basically saying the same thing as Genesis 4:25. It's just the terminology is different.
All right, so nobody's seen the Lord so that's why you gotta get the precept, right? And that's a good question. If nobody's seen the Most High, what was the account in Daniel 7 and 9? But he's seen the likeness of the Lord, like it tell you in the book of Ezekiel, right? Like when you read Ezekiel, the first chapter, you see the likeness
There's another
of the Lord.
point the brother makes.
And he was in the spirit world as well. I'm gonna start at 1. It says, after this I looked, and behold, a door was open in heaven on the ground. Right, he was taken up, and like when you read, get this real fast. Like Revelation 4.
And it's the same with Elijah. Elijah died. Moses, that's the part I'm trying to find, because it mentions Moses, and Moses died also.
In the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat. It's not the same as actually walking the earth and seeing the Lord, because you would die, man. Right? Yeah, you see that? No scoffers, man. Like, we must love white people. Right? We're not on here for that. And we're talking about black history. We're talking about Enoch. Right? And what can we learn from Enoch? All right, so let's get back to it. So this is the book of Hebrews. Right? Chapter 11 and verse 5. Right? It says, by faith was Enoch translated. Right? So Enoch got translated to the Lord, man. That's what it means to get translated. Right? So like I said, so-called abducted. Right? And we have multiple accounts of this. Hawashah was translated. Right? Then you got Elijah was translated. Right? There's multiple accounts of it. You had Habakkuk was translated. Right? Multiple accounts of our forefathers being translated via the chariots. Right? And it says that he should not see death and was not found. So he did not see death, and nobody could find him. Just like that happened with Moses. He went to the mountain. They said, we don't know what happened to Moses. Nobody could find him because he was in the third heaven. Like we just.
Yeah, so that's, what the brother said. Like I said, this lesson here is just for edification purposes. It's got nothing to do with what he brings out about Enoch. What can we learn from him? It's to do with that little section that I just played there, which a lot of people actually break that down wrong. Now, let me quickly I'm not going to go into the breakdown of it as such, because you can watch this video, Does the Bible Teach Enoch Never Died? And it covers certain things which I'm not going to cover in this lesson. But I just want to quickly read that precept in Genesis. Yes, this is Genesis. I want to run slow. Yeah, so this is Genesis 4 and verse 25. Nope, Slack at Genesis 5:24. Slack at Israel. Genesis 5:24. It says, and Enoch walked with the Most High. Like the brother was saying, when you read the chapter coming down, it speaks about everyone that had died. Yeah. So when you come to Enoch now, it's telling you the same thing. It's just the way it is phrased. It says, and Enoch walked with the Most High and was not, for the Most High took him. So one of the precepts the brother brought out to explain was not, he explained it properly, but then he sort of walked over what it meant to say that Enoch never died. And this is Lamentation. Salakia 5 and 7. Our fathers have sinned and are not, meaning they're dead, and we have borne their iniquities. Now, when you go through the scriptures, that phraseology is dealing with someone that has passed away. And this is just a few precepts I want to show. Like I said, you can watch the lesson that I did, and it will cover certain things to show you that is not, are not, was not is dealing with someone that had died. So this is Psalms 37, verse 35. I have seen the wicked in great power and spreaded himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yeah, meaning what? He has died. He passed away, and he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. Why could not? Salakia, Israel. 1 second. Yeah, so like I was saying, Salakia, it says, I'll read that again. It says, I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. So when it says he passed away, meaning he died, and lo, he was not, letting you know he was dead, which is why he could not be found, because he was dead. So when you go through the precepts in the scriptures dealing with is not, was not, it's showing you it's dealing with someone that had died. Now, this is in the New Testament, Matthew 2, verse 16. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wrath, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, in Ramah was their voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they are not. Yeah, why couldn't she be comforted? Because her children were dead. So dealing with though that terminology was not, is not, you know, when we go through the scriptures, it's dealing with someone that had died. Now, this is Romans chapter 12, Salakia, chapter 5, verse 12. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. So it says, so death passed upon all men. Yeah, that means Enoch himself, death also passed upon Enoch, because he's part of that one man whose sin entered by, like from the lineage of Adam. It says, I read that again. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men. It didn't say it passed upon all men apart from Elijah, apart from Enoch, apart from Moses. It says, for that all have sinned. Yeah. Now this is 1 Corinthians 15, verse 20. But now is the Mashiach risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept, because Yahushua is the first one to have had that glorified body. Yeah, it says now he has become the first fruits. Now when we look at this word first fruits, yeah, he's become the first fruits of them that slept, them that died. And Enoch is part of, you know, those people that has died.
Strong's G 536. Aparche.
Now it says to offer firstlings or first fruits. When you come down to the Strong's definition, you got from a compound of G 575 and G 756. Yeah, now when we go to G 756, does it say? Remember, it's speaking about Yahushua being the first fruits.
Strong's G 756. Archamai. Archamai.
Says to be the first to do anything. Yeah, to begin, to be chief leader, ruler, to begin, make a beginning. But it says to be the first to do anything. So when it comes to having that glorified body, because Enoch couldn't go into the Shemayams in the body that he was in. You know, he would have had to have had a changed body. Now, this is Proverbs 30:4. It says, who has ascended up into heaven or descended? That's the question. Who has gathered the wind in his fist? Who has bound the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is his son's name, if thou can tell? And we know the one that has ascended into heaven or descended, that was Yahushai. You know, Yahushai is the only one that had come from the Shemayams to earth and had gone back to the Shemayams with a glorified body after having a mortal body. So we'll go back to 1 Corinthians. Yeah. So 1 Corinthians 15:20. But now is a Mashiach risen from the dead and become the first fruits, yet the first to have done anything, of them that slept. For since by man came death, yeah, that man is Adam, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die. So it don't say all die except Enoch, except Elijah, except Moses. It says even so in a Mashiach shall all be made alive. Yeah, but every man in his own order. A Mashiach the first fruits. Yeah, afterwards they that are a Mashiach is coming. So he's the first one to have had a mortal body change into a glorified body. Yeah, that's the Yahushai. Now when we jump down to verse 50, 1 Corinthians 15:50. And like I said, this is just for edification purposes. It's not, you know, these brothers are good brothers, always pushing hard, doing the work. This lesson is nothing against the video that the brother is doing as a whole. You know, who is Enoch? What can we learn from him? Because what he brings out, you know, is some good edifying stuff as to what we can learn from Enoch. It's just a statement where he made that Enoch didn't die, which that is a common teaching in Israel, which is an error. The scripture does teach is when you go precept upon precept that Enoch did die. So 1 Corinthians 15. And like I said, certain things I'm not going to cover in this lesson. If you want to, then go to this. Does the Bible teach Enoch never died? And those would be covered there. So this is 1 Corinthians 15:50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. So for Enoch to have gone into the Shemayams, he would have needed a changed body. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. That's when we're going to get that glorified body, when Yahushua returns. Yeah, it says, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. And it says, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So Enoch did not end up with an immortal body before Yahushua. Yeah, Yahushua is the one who came from the Shemayams, had a mortal body, and his body was changed, yeah, and glorified. He's the first fruits. Now, this is Second Esdras 3 and verse 4. Now, this is dealing with Adam. O Lord, who bears rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and did breathe into him the breath of life, the law, statutes, and commandments, you know, and he was made living before thee. Now, when you jump down to 7, it says, and unto him, unto Adam, thou gavest commandments to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointest death in him, in Adam, and in his generations. Part of Enoch's generation was Enoch, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. Now, this is the main precept that actually as people stuck because of the way it reads, but it is actually repeating the same thing as Genesis chapter 5 verse 24. So this is Hebrews 11 and 5. It says, by faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death. Now, like I said, I'm not going to break this down. You can watch the video that I did. Does the Bible teach Enoch never died? And it is broken down in there, giving the understanding what it means that he should not see death, and was not found because the Most High had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased the Most High. So even in that same video, because remember the brother said Moses was one of those that was translated, meaning he never died. That's incorrect. And that is also proven in that video. So like I said, I'm not going to break that down in this lesson. Watch the other video and it will give you those answers. But to give some understanding, and what I will show you, am I going to do that in this? I think I need to. Yeah, I will. Yeah, because you can go in the other lesson and get the understanding for Hebrews 11 and 5. So when you read at 1, it speaks about faith and our elders that obtained a good report through their faith. Actually, I'm not going to show you, because the scriptures actually show you that Enoch never died, but I'm not going to do that in this lesson. If you want to find that out, go and watch that other lesson. So like I said, verse 1 is speaking about faith. Verse 2 is speaking about our elders who obtained a good report through their faith. Now, when you come to verse 14, it says, for they that say such things, because verse 13 is speaking about us, our foreparents admitting, it says, and confess that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. It says, for they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country. And when you read down from verse 4, verse 2, where it speaks about our elders who obtained a good report through their faith, it speaks about Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, and our sister Sarah. Yeah, these were some of our elders that confessed, held a good report through their faith. And it says, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Verse 14, Hebrews 11:14, for they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country that is an heavenly. Wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their power, for he has prepared for them a city. When you jump down to the end of this chapter, it says, and all these, and these all, when you read down, it mentions a number of our foreparents, Enoch being one of them. It says, and these all, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. What the promise? That's of the kingdom. It says, the Most High having provided some better thing for us, that they without us should not be made perfect. So we're all going to receive that promise at the same time. We're all going to receive the kingdom at the same time, those of us that are of that elect. So I just wanted to touch that quickly, to go over some precept to show that Enoch did die. And when the scripture speaks about is not, was not, are not, this is dealing with someone that had died. But like I said, please go and watch this lesson here. Does the Bible teach Enoch never died? And it will break down, in it I actually go through and give you the understanding of what it means when it says, Hebrews 11:5, by faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death. That is explained in there. And there's a key precept in there that actually shows you, it actually tells you that Enoch died. Yeah, that Enoch died. So yeah, like I said, this lesson was just to give some understanding on a point the brother made. It's nothing to do with his lesson as to what we can learn from Enoch. The brother brings out some beautiful stuff as to what we can learn from Enoch. It's just a statement for edification. I want to clarify what he was saying, because many in Israel do teach that Enoch never died, Elijah never died, and as the brother mentioned, Moses never died, but the scriptures do teach that, you know, they died. So hopefully there was some understanding from that. You know, someone found it edifying. With that, I'm going to close out. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Wahar, Rakar, Kadash, Kwam Yasha Allah.